Some of them have really good TikTok clips that make me laugh, so I'm up for that. That Patel guy with the FBI, maybe. Oh wow, what a firebrand! He's just screaming. He's almost as cool as Holman. Holman is the immigration czar or whatever. He's the one. His sound bites will be like, "Make no mistake, there will be a mass deportation, all of them." Like, like you know how sometimes the like a talking head on the news would be like, "Just so we're clear, we're not talking about a mass deportation. What we're talking about is going after the criminal element with records."
All of them.
Holman's like, "Excuse me, ma'am. Are you the border czar?" Well, no. Do you have a shirt that says Mexican catcher? He opens like he is so intense about it every time I see him interviewed, and I love that.
That guy rocks. I like him.
I love that these aren't mealy-mouthed politicians that they're like his job is to catch illegals, and he loves it. He clearly loves it, and he wants to do it so bad.
It's
and I just want to let him do it. I can't wait to let him do it. You know what I mean?
He's going to have so much love. Did you guys like the family separation policy?
No, you got to deport them together,
dude. Of course. Like, I mean, I'm gonna just quote him. When you get pulled over for DUI, you got kids in the car, you get separated. You commit a crime, you get separated. When you're processed,
this would be the equivalent of like let's say somebody gets like a speeding ticket. Do you think it would be?
No, it's not like a speeding ticket.
No, it's not like a speeding ticket at all.
The other difference is, well, for the first time when you cross, it's a civil infraction. When the second time it becomes a misdemeanor, I believe. But when we're talking about the family separation policy, I've never really liked that analogy, because when you go to jail or something like that, if you get arrested or if you have to spend like a few days in jail before you get bailed out, it's not like the government automatically takes your kid away and then loses your kid.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. Immediately they take the child away.
Unlawful entry is also
it's protective services.
Unlawful
child. They'll set
if there's nowhere for the child to go, they
or
immediately
a cousin or something like
that's
that.
Exactly.
Unlawful entry is a felony. It's not a misdemeanor.
It's felony, and as soon as you've committed that, and by the way, it's hard to find their family members because they illegally invaded the country, bringing a child along with them on their crime spree. Again, bank robber brings their kid into the bank. Separated. Sorry, you cannot. Hey, your daddy's a bank robber. You want to hop on his lap while we handcuff him and take him to the federal penitentiary? No, they get fucking separated. And if there's no guardian to take them, then they go to Child Protective Services.
But they get the kid back they get the kid back when they come back from jail. So the first offense for an unlawful entry is usually a misdemeanor. The subsequent offenses are felonies. So like this would be, do you think it would be appropriate to permanently take someone's kid away?
It looks like
permanently. They get them back.
They give the kids back, but it looks like the first offense is a felony. I'm sure it's often pled down, but it is a felony.
That's not what I'm looking at.
Is the taking the children away thing marketing? Because here's why I say that. They did it under Obama. And he's like, the reason we take the kids away from the parents is that we can't have children with the adults. It's not safe. Bad things could happen to kids if you house them with adults in a prison-like atmosphere. And I heard that and I thought, okay, that passes Woody's logic.
Sometimes it's not their parents. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a kidnapper who's got a child hostage. We need to separate them and talk to the kid.
Okay, good point. All right. But then there's the second half of it. Under Trump, it was, we are going to steal your children if you try to cross our border. Do you love your kids? Then don't even try it, right? And to me, I'm like this is the same policy with different marketing, right? I'm paraphrasing and misquoting and stuff. But I think the idea was this idea of putting children someplace safer under Obama became remarketed as
Taylor.
Don't cross the border or you'll lose your kids. And I'm like, is this marketing? Is this an actual difference?
No, it was meant
Woody's winning me over here because I'm kind of like a program where we take the child and we don't give it back. We send it's like, all right, you want to bring your kid? We don't think you're a fit parent or a fit American. So
we just got another tomato picker.
That's right. Now that we keep the children, I don't know what we do with them, but we find something for them to do here. We don't let them be Americans. That's the other thing.
How about this? We send them
no more anchor babies. Like a lot of people saying no more anchor babies. A lot of people saying no more anchor babies. I'm saying maybe no more first generations. Maybe we go back on some folks. Maybe
you guys realize that's what they did, right? They would take the kid, put him into the foster care system, and then they would deport the parents. And then there were 2,000 kids that needed to be reunited. There's still I think over 1,000 that have never been reunited. We straight up kidnapped kids. Like that's not.
Did we
hyperbole.
break into their house and steal their kids, or did they
you can make
break
an analogy,
into our country and then they abided
wait, hold on. Seriously, do you think that this is justified, like literally permanently taking someone's child away?
I don't think that's the purpose, the intent, or the goal of the program. I think that is may have been the result according to you, but I bet there are extenuating circumstances, such as the parent disappeared after we sent them home, such as the parent is not actively trying to get their child back for some reason.
Are you talking about the family separation policy?
And you know what? I honestly don't mind a few nightmare scenarios in the immigration system. Maybe it will discourage some people from trying to enter it. It shouldn't be fucking Disneyland. You shouldn't hear that when they catch you, they give you a free ride.
No matter what we say, you're going to come down on the side against it. Like, because I already asked you the question, if you could solve this problem with a button push, you wouldn't do it.
We're having two different conversations right now, though. So, like John Kelly, when he was the secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, that was his first job before he became chief of staff. He talked about the family separation policy in an interview with Wolf Blitzer, and he straight up said, we're considering doing a family separation policy to serve as a deterrent. So like, hopefully people back in Guatemala and El Salvador will hear that we're taking people's kids away and they won't want to make that trip. But I'm curious, like, do you guys seriously think that like permanently taking someone's child away is
I don't think there's a program that does that. I think there is a program where that has perhaps been the end.
I think it's a you're framing it as though that's ridiculous. The end goal, when in reality that's a consequence of their illegal behavior.
The end goal was to separate kids as a deterrent. That's what, and that is what
was it done serendipitously, or was it because a huge amount of coyotes were coming over with kids that weren't theirs and claimed they were theirs?
What they did was they called it a zero tolerance policy because, as I mentioned before, the first offense is a misdemeanor, the second offense is a felony, but most of the time they don't pursue these charges. It's called a removal. They turn them away at the border. But before, we would send them back with their kids. Under this policy, which he ended up ending via executive order because there was so much political pressure put on him, because this policy is insane to kidnap kids, put them into the foster care system.
That's where they go.
Wait, what do you mean?
Kids go.
I like it a lot. I like first of all, I don't think that's the case. But second of all, if that is the case, I like that even more now.
What wasn't the case?
Well, what I think is happening is that people are being arrested in the country with their, for any number of crimes, and they've got their kid with them, or they're crossing the border and they've got a child with them who knows who the child is, and they're detained, and they separate those two individuals because only one of them's an adult, and he's saying, yes, this is my kid, in a different language than me. I don't know about that. So we're going to separate, we're going to work that out. If the end result of that is that this guy doesn't get the kid back, that's just the end result of it. I don't understand the problem here. Yeah, absolutely. What is he doing here? Why is he invading my country?
Why is he invading my country? Thank you, Kyle.
This analogy of like, if somebody commits a crime in the United States, they're temporarily separated from the kid. That's true.
If me and my kid invade,
you're reunited with your kid. We don't just like take people's kids away unless there was abuse. And what we don't automatically put the kid, like send him over to
this is an operations
first issue. Of all, these quote-unquote kids you keep talking about,
let him finish his point
real quick. Accessories. Let me finish my point real quick. We don't take kids away from people who commit crimes and then put them in the foster care system. Like typically we try to find, that is the last resort. But what we typically do is we find other family to set that kid up. That's what happens the overwhelming majority of the time. What you guys are saying is that it would be an acceptable policy if we just took the person's kid away, lost track of where the kid was, and then they never get the kid back?
Nobody said that. And I keep saying that over and over, and we keep saying no. Stop saying
policy,
that.
we keep saying that's not what we're saying, but you're not listening.
But that was the policy.
Do you think there would be more or less of this? Hold on. Do you think
Google it right now? Look it up.
Do you think there would be more or less of this issue if we had stringent border policies that didn't incentivize people to come here illegally?
You know how I know it wasn't the policy? Because you're saying we only got 2,000.
No. There were tens of thousands, but there were 2,000 that never got reunited with their parents.
Oh,
that's what happened.
Exactly.
So millions of people came.
Why did we only keep 2,000? Why did we only keep those 2,000?
They lost track of those kids in the system. This was the result of what was called. Anybody can Google this, right? And so anybody in PKA comments, just Google the zero tolerance policy and the family separation policy. This is what happened.
We've talked about it over and over. What I'm asking you is, where are those 2,000 kids, and how do you mean they're lost in the system?
They lost them in the system. How did you guys not hear about
I don't know what that means. I literally don't. Do you mean they
sent them into the American foster care system, set them up with American families, and then literally lost track, and they couldn't?
That's not how foster care works.
That is literally what happened. Anybody can Google
Someone's
this right
coming
now.
to check on those kids every fucking month to make sure things are going well at foster care. And they say, hey, is Emilio okay? And they say, yeah. And they check off on a list. So he's on a list somewhere. They didn't lose Emilio. Kyle, he's just somewhere because his parents are shit.
Kyle, Zach, don't link articles where I have to have a fucking account.
You can Google anybody in this call right now, and anybody who's reading the comments in PKA right now, you can Google zero tolerance policy, family separation policy. You can see the consequences of that policy. The reason why Donald Trump ended the policy is because he faced so much political pressure because we lost track of thousands of kids.
How can you say you even give a fuck about this? Because you already said you wouldn't push the magic button to send everyone back to their country of origin. You already said that. You already said, given the option, if you could send every
line from that to I can't be opposed to kidnapping kids.
Because it makes it clear, at least to me, that you're using this point as like a way of politically expediting your greater point, which is that you don't mind this horde of people coming over into our country. Because if you really cared, like you would have, if you really cared about those kids and the families and everything, you would have agreed that, yes, I'll push the magic button that sends everyone back to their country of origin. Families. No. But that's why it's called a hypothetical. It's called a hypothetical question, and it can be used to discern motives.
There are all kinds of reasons why I wouldn't press that button. Number one, I don't think Americans want to pay higher prices for these goods. But number two, this has nothing to do with the family separation policy. That was a policy that happened on Donald Trump's watch.
Is that a button that would immediately fix the family separation policy?
Hey, hang on a minute. Hang on.
The lengths of this.
Two things. One, Hutch is like pretty much right about the like 1,400 kids. Mm-hmm. Like what it says here is, Trump administration had no way to reunite these 1,400 kids with their parents. And I'm perfectly fine with that, Hutch, because I bet if I'm in another country and I hear that and I got like 3 or 4 kids, I'm thinking, oh God, there's no way I'd get them all back. There's no way.
That's too mean. I'm picturing the reality of what this looks like, right? Moms holding their 3-year-old kids, mom crying, kid primal screams, and being like, yeah, I'm breaking up this family for good. This is not making the world a better place.
There's a Rogan clip of him talking about
Kyle's
that.
Point.
That kid's an American now, first of all. So when, all right?
Yeah, and to Kyle's point, like that would de-incentivize this. Like, you don't want to incentivize illegal immigration. That's not.
What if we shot them? Would you is that a good idea?
No, I think that's ridiculous. There's no reason to
in what situation
it would de-incentivize them, right?
Yeah, there are great.
Honestly, so coming as a parent, being murdered and having my children taken from me, I'd pick murder me. And I don't think you're a good parent if you have a different answer.
I respect that, and I agree with you. But yeah, you don't need to say, oh, we're going to deport you immediately. Oh, why not just kill them? It's like, no, well, fucking pump the brakes. That's absurd.
No. I'm sorry. I was comparing the killing to the taking their kids away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, taking their kids away to me seems like a punishment that doesn't fit the crime. I'm not denying that it's a crime or that we don't need to do better on this. But taking kids away is a kind of evil that I don't want America to be.
I think a big issue with it is that like a lot of these groups are breaking into the country. Felony behavior, by the way, and there's no documentation that they have in order to show like, hey, this group of girls with me, these are all my daughters or whatever. Because we also do know that there's a human trafficking issue down there. And so they do have to be stringent with it and be like, hey, you got to prove this fucking girl is your daughter before we send you to fucking Montana with a housing voucher and you have this girl with you. Like there's no
stuff, man. I'm reading through this.
You keep bringing up the wait, what's up, Kyle?
He's reading the article that Zach linked.
Trump said, quote, it stopped people from coming by the hundreds of thousands, he said, because when they hear family separation, they say, well, we better not go. And they didn't go.
Yeah, it was meant to be a deterrent. I think that the lengths that they went to with that is like, almost unspeakably.
I
evil.
wanted alligators. You know what I also like? They have this thing in Texas, right? These huge buoys. Have you seen the buoys in the river, Woody? In the Rio Grande or whatever?
With the barbed wire?
The ones that drown people.
I don't know if I can picture one. I've heard about them. I read.
So what they've got, they're round buoys, and there's no gap between them, and they're connected with cable, I presume. But they're so big that there's no way
to hold it safely. It doesn't have like a pool ledge.
Worse, it's really big, so you can't even swim under it. Like you'd have to, because they're carrying stuff as well. You're not like naked, ready for like diving. You've got your shit with you, so you can't swim under it. You can't clamber over it. So they swim out there and they get stuck and they sort of like paddle against it and they drown and they die apparently. So that's controversial for some reason, the buoys. But I saw Governor Abbott was installing some new buoys the other day. They're building wall right now, you know?
Honestly, I don't know what to think about the buoy. To me, a buoy is just a water wall, right?
Zach, show us those Mexican border buoys. Better idea. I maybe didn't describe it well.
Yeah, I still think I could navigate those buoys.
Oh, fuck yeah, you could. You could do anything. Dude, that thing could be on the bed of the river and you dig a hole underneath and swim through that.
I could get past those buoys.
Absolutely.
We'll see what Zach's picture looks like if it changes my mind.
Yeah. But no, I just don't like them coming here, Hutch, is the answer. And when I say them, it's not a race or a nationality or a color. It's literally people who don't belong that we haven't like checked out. We haven't vetted. Like we spent so much time locking up people for COVID who went outside without a mask, but we just parade these people across the board who come from African and Asian nations where that's where the viruses come from. If we haven't been like keeping score, I don't think that's racist either. We're finding out more and more about that Wuhan lab, by the way.
We have to decouple the two things though. So there's like the problem of people like border crossing, but that's not the problem. That's not the bigger problem here. The bigger problem is the amount of people that are applying for asylum that then have a legal right to come into the country. And so we talk about like food vouchers. Well, it's like, okay, well, if you allow someone to come in the country, like I think you do have a responsibility to make sure that they have their immediate needs met right when they first get here. And we talk about these plane rides. Well, what we're doing is we're flying people to like sponsor families in the country. I agree that the asylum laws as they're written right now are totally untenable. They were written decades ago when we were not seeing the level of influx that we're seeing now. Certainly the level of influx that happened under Biden was completely untenable. He waited too long to address that issue for sure. But the immigration bill that they negotiated in Congress addressed those asylum laws. They tightened those asylum laws.
And the Republicans outmaneuvered you. So we're here where we are now.
I have a related question. Do you guys see the results of illegal immigration in your personal universe?
Yeah. Lawn care, $70 both yards.
Are you saying it's cheap?
It's so cheap. And you can like, if you there's a translate app for Android. It's like, holy shit, I can get these guys to do anything. Like they're like I don't know. He's got some sort of mental like price like thing going on, because I'm like, what if you picked up that log? $8. And then like, what if you fixed that fence? $37. Like everything's got a fucking price. These guys are great. So there's that. And my grandfather, he was an illegal immigrant.
Press the button, by the way.
No, that's why I would happily, dude. That's how you know you've made it in life, when you got a white man cutting your grass.
I have a white man cutting my grass.
That's the dream I wish for all Americans. That's right.
A white man cutting your grass, and that's what we could go back to. We could have all white people cutting grass if we just deport the illegals.
All white people. You know what a grass cutter's going to make in Trump's America? Fucking $50,000 a year plus
hundreds
benefits.
of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah.
I was looking at how many children we were going to keep.
This is
I'm
Derek,
glad
is that his third time on the show.
Yeah, third or fourth, maybe. Definitely third. I enjoyed having Hutch on. I'm glad we didn't ruffle any feathers. We were talking about it before the show, and he said that he saw people thought we hated him or thought that he hated us or something. And I was like, yeah, those people don't understand that like adults can have spirited arguments or discussions or what have you, not really be mad. His immigration policy is bananas. I love that you pinned him down to like, hey, what if you had a magic button that would just get rid of them?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting way to get to the bottom.
It's
like a good way to get to the bottom of it.
It
yeah,
was.
Magically go home.
There's a nice little rhetorical trick I engaged, and it worked.
Well,
not even a trick. It was just a hypothetical question.
Honestly,
that I thought elucidated a lot of his position.
I know that you guys thought it was completely bonkers, right? But I'm like, I don't want illegal immigration. I want controlled immigration, like college admissions almost,
Sure.
Let's bring in the people that fill in the holes we have.
We need some
but I do think we can, overcome some of our low birth rates by having some immigration. If this is a desirable country, we can have our population growth pinned to exactly where it should be by having controlled immigration. And when Taylor said, hey, do you want to press that button and shrink the company? I'm like, man, I've seen shrinking towns, the boarded up windows, the failure. And once a thing starts to shrink, that shrinking just continues to fester like a cancer, just destroy population shrinking. Then schools get shut down, then businesses get shut down, restaurants get shut down, which causes more shrinking. And it creates this cycle that is bad. So I don't know what I'd do with that, but
that was bloat though.
I would place
the
blame of those shrinking cities or counties or whatever at the foot of losing manufacturing more than I would at anything else, because they lost their way of life.
Oops. Yeah, sure. Losing. I think that is often a primary thing. I think sometimes it's weather related, where people just migrate to the warmer climates. I think we've seen that in general. And but either way, the places that shrink, that shrinking leads to more shrinking, and it's hard to turn it around.
My position on the birth rate thing would be that we need to create a country in which existing citizens have an incentive to have more children, because like the infinite immigration solution, I don't think is sustainable long term. That'll just result in a different country over time.
Yeah, the number one baby name is now Muhammad in London.
Yeah, but I'm sure like 50 years from now, England will be the same, right?
Didn't we discover that wasn't true? And the guy said it on the Hangout, and we looked into it, and it wasn't the case.
No, it is the most popular. I saw it today. I've seen it for the past 6 years.
Oh.
I think that was in Germany. It had become the number one, but now it's also London somewhere. It may be all of England, but definitely London.
It's Noah.
I read it on Reddit today.
Oh,
there's no way it's Noah. No way. There's like
London is
the rife with Noahs over there. There's no way.
And it's on the rise. Noah was the top name in 13 London boroughs. It used to be 9.
Muhammad was overtaken Noah as the top name for baby boys in England and Wales, followed by Noah and Oliver. Muhammad was the second most popular name in 2022 and has been in the top 10 most popular names for baby boys in England and Wales since 2016.
Yeah, the thing in front of me says Muhammad is next, topping 8 boroughs, and then Leo.
Yeah, this is like today, though.
Okay.
I'm just reading there.
Well, Muhammad is more. I mean, regardless of which one's right, Muhammad. I didn't. If it's first or second,
it's a whole lot of Muhammad.
That's a net negative for England if they hope to keep the same character of a nation they've built up over the past 2,000 years. If I take 300 million people from China and I put them in New York, that's not New York anymore.
It'd be packed shoulder to shoulder with people. 300 million in just New York.
That's so many people.
Oh, wait, you're doing the state. I'm doing the city. Maybe that's the 300 million is still a lot.
Well, then pick a different country. If we move 300 million Chinese into Japan, Japan ceases to exist overnight.
Sure. That's a
lot. That's a lot of Chinese.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I've had all I can take.